Maren, Stephen, thank you for being here on a Sunday afternoon on this Zero Waste Challenge month. This Zero Waste Challenge month was launched in March 2022, 2025, March 22, on World Water Day. That has its significance because waste and water pollution is very much linked, and water also really connects most of our ecosystems. So when we work on our rivers and our water, then we are also able to address a lot of other environmental issues. So that was a symbolic move in launching this Zero Waste Challenge on that day. So we kicked it off on Earth Day on April 22nd. And since then, we're on week 3 now. We've had food waste, and then we also had beauty and hygiene waste. And we've really shared a lot of information on those aspects. And this week is travel, and which is also why we're bringing you this webinar today, which is turning into a podcast episode with just the two of you, which is really much more intimate, and we can talk freely and express our ideas as if we're just talking among friends, which we are. Um, so, and this week is travel, which is why we're talking about air pollution and also non-motorized transport, because these two are also supporting each other. Because when you use non-motorized transport, you reduce air pollution, but also vice versa, is that if you're already living in a polluted city, then you're also impacted by the air pollution more when you use non-motorized transport. So I would like to introduce my two interviewees, panelists, Maren Allers and Sifan Mulune, um, which gives me great pleasure. I've known both of you for several years now. Maren Allers holds a master's degree in climate change and development from SOAS University of London and advocates for sustainable mobility, social inclusion, and gender equity. As the co-founder of Agramangat Impact, she promotes cycling as a powerful tool for social change and empowerment, particularly for marginalized communities in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Furthermore, she has worked with national and international organizations in biodiversity, environmental sustainability, and communication, contributing to initiatives that promote resilience, inclusivity, and sustainable development. Welcome, Maren. And Sifan Mulune, he's a health educator, physical therapist, a rotaractor, and he's currently a medical doctorate candidate, and he's a healthcare manager. Sifan is a passionate multidisciplinary health professional dedicated to improving lives through education, care, and community service. As a healthcare educator, registered nurse, and medical doctor candidate, he combines clinical expertise with a strong foundation in physical rehabilitation. He currently manages Addis home-based healthcare, leading a team that brings medical support directly to patients' homes. And beyond his clinical work, he serves as a lecturer at the health science colleges and a volunteer coordinator for Tesfa Medical Care Team, organizing outreach and checkups for underserved communities. He's also an active member of Rotaract Club of Fanos, committed to service and leadership development. Welcome, Stephen. It really gives me great pleasure to have this conversation with both of you. And us three, I think we've become also friends on the bar, the cycling bar. So both you and Maren are avid cyclists. So really, I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. So I'll start with Maren to give us an overview of what air pollution is like. You have the floor,
Right.
Maren.
Thank you very much, Miha, for this warm introduction. And good to see you too, and everyone else who's going to watch the recording. Yeah, as Miha mentioned, today, the third out of the 4 webinars we are hosting in UDIT's Zero Waste Challenge, we are talking about air pollution and non-motorized transportation. First of all, what is air pollution? According to the World Health Organization, air pollution is the contamination of indoor and outdoor environments by any chemical, physical, or biological agent that alters the natural characteristic of the atmosphere. It's a bit of a heavy sentence, but I think for all of us it's important to know that air pollution, let it be indoor or outdoor, significantly impact human health, contributing to respiratory infections, heart diseases, strokes, and lung cancer. And reducing air pollution, yeah, is crucial for improving public health outcomes. So there are two types of air pollution. There's once the outdoor air pollution. This type of pollution occurs in both urban and rural areas, and is primarily caused by the combustion of fossil fuels in vehicles, industrial activities, and power generation. Exposure to this air pollution is linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, yeah, as well as cancer can be a cause of it. On the other hand, there's the household, yeah, indoor air pollution, which arises from the use of solid fuels such as wood, crop waste, charcoal, coal, and dung, yeah, in open fires for cooking and heating. Yeah, such practices emits harmful pollutants indoors and also contributes to the outdoor pollution. And then we have common pollutants. Everyone might have heard about them. Yeah, major ones are particulate matter, carbon monoxide, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, and sulfur dioxide. Why is air pollution a critical issue? So let's talk about health first. I'm not a doctor, but I try to summarize it. Air pollution is one of the leading risks to human health worldwide. And according to the World Health Organization, air pollution causes approximately 7 million premature deaths annually, including around 600,000 children under the age of 5. We have respiratory diseases where fine particulate matter penetrates deep into our lungs, bloodstreams, and leading to or worsening diseases like asthma, bronchitis, and lung infections. And on the other hand, there are the cardiovascular issues where long-term exposure to air pollution increases the risk for heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, and premature death. And they're vulnerable populations, so especially children, the elderly, and pregnant women are particularly at risk. So air pollution can impair lung development in children, increase the risk of preterm birth and low birth weight, and exacerbate age-related health conditions. And also, it has to be mentioned that women and children's activities, in the kitchen and in the households are often much more time-intensive than, for example, the ones of men working there. Yeah, why is air pollution a critical issue? Environment impacts. So air pollution doesn't just affect the humans, it also has profound and far-reaching effects on the environment. So there's several causes. I'm just mentioning 4 right now. So first of all, climate change. Greenhouse gases like CO2 and methane trap heat in the atmosphere, raising global temperatures. I think everyone heard about that. But also airborne pollutants can damage forests, soils, and bodies of water. For instance, acid rain caused by sulfur and nitrogen oxides alert soil chemistry and harms aquatic life. So ecosystem degradation is one big outcome of air pollution. Furthermore, it reduces agricultural productivity, which is especially important for countries that are dependent on that. Photosynthesis crops such as wheat, soybeans and rice are impacted, which leads to significant yield losses and as I mentioned, particularly in regions that already face food insecurity. And then lastly, I think everyone knows pictures of cities like Bangkok, where it's like covered in smoke and you can't see anything. So smoke and haze reduces visibility, creates heavy blankets over urban areas. Then let's briefly touch economic impact. So the economic toll of air pollution is massive, with wide-ranging consequences for both individuals and the national economies. A study by the World Bank estimates that air pollution costs the global economy over 8.1 trillion dollars annually, which is equivalent to 6.1% of global GDP, and it's a massive number. And yeah, as mentioned, first of all, health costs, yeah, threatening pollution-related diseases, but also loss of productivity. So poor air quality reduces workers' performances and increases, their absenteeism. And long-term exposure can lead to permanent health impairments, decreasing the labor force. Now let's come to Ethiopia, probably the reason we are all here today. Sources of air pollution in Ethiopia. Firstly, transportation. I think every one of you can relate to that, especially in urban areas like Addis Ababa. There's a lot of transportation, a lot of pollution, and over 80% of vehicles in Ethiopia are older than 20 years old. This might now maybe change slowly over time as we have more electric cars coming and more infrastructure for active mobility users. But for now, still transportation is a very big source of air pollution in Ethiopia. Furthermore, about 90% of households rely on biomass fuels, such as wood, charcoal, dung, for cooking. And as mentioned, women and children are more affected in these activities. Also, rapid urbanization and industrial growth, particularly again in the capital Addis Ababa, but also in other urban centers, lead to air pollution. Cement factories, textile industries, tanneries, there's a lot of pollutants. Another big issue, probably all of us have seen also, is waste burning, which is a very common practice in urban and peri-urban areas. Due to poor waste management, there's no other options. And it's been said that, Addis Ababa generates over 3,000 tons of waste per day, which is openly burnt. The fifth one I want to mention today are agriculture activities. So the use of pesticides, fertilizers, field burning produces ammonia and particulates, but also livestock waste and fermentation. It's a very big source of pollution. Then also there are natural sources. So for example, dust storms, especially during dry season, and which lead to wind-blown dust from arid and semi-arid areas. That's just moving around the whole pollution we have. So there's a very beautiful website. Let me try to see if that, it works perfectly. So this is accessible for everyone. It's a free website. And basically here, if it's loading, basically here you can see the current air pollution happening.
Can you exit the advertisement? Yeah, thank you.
I'm back. Okay, is my screen still shared?
Your screen is not shared. I would also like to share maybe my screen for one image of the same pollution. This is from last year. I saved it because it was really a stark happening. This was in Arat Kilo. It was even in the evening. And I think there was some kind of burning must have been going on where the value was 154. And this is a really unhealthy value. And then, of course, the next few days it decreased and went back to the 70s and the 90s. Of course, it fluctuates. And you can see that during the day, when you go and check, because it updates, I think, every hour, the website. So when you go and check during the day, during high traffic times or during, waste burning times, you can see how the fluctuation of air quality is within the city. It also tells you that this is something that can be improved in a short term. If you can have a 154 value one day and a few days later it has decreased to, 70 and 90, then if we really have a concerted effort around improving air quality, it is something where we can see results really quickly. So just wanted to share a really, I think, probably an outlier within Aratkilo to have such a value at night where there are no vehicular movements. This can continue.
All right, I'm back. Sorry for the loss of my connection. Um, yeah, I was talking about this ah, about this map, and now it's also done loading. So it's a very interactive map, and every one of you can access it all the time, and it's real time data. So, for example, let me try to zoom in a bit. Yeah, this is recent, yeah, on time data of air pollution in our country, and as seen, yeah, close to Addis Ababa, we have a moderate numbers right now, but also it has to be mentioned it's Sunday afternoon. So I was checking these data a couple of days ago, and it was in the mornings more than 100 on all of these close to Addis areas. And also I just checked it like an hour ago, and Koye was still very, very orange back then. So it seems like traffic is yeah has become less as people maybe travel back to their homes right now. So yeah, you can access this anytime. It's very, very interesting to see. And yeah, areas like Gudi are very low compared to Addis, for example. And also Djibouti is high. I don't know if it test the whole globe or maybe. Mm. Okay, but you can just play it. Oh yeah, okay, there we're coming. So it's interesting to see. I mean, here over Europe, it seems very green right now. But yeah, just access this page, and it's very, very fun to play around with it and see real life data. So as I mentioned, tomorrow morning, the numbers will be very different, most likely. Super. Okay, so how yeah do we come together with our zero waste challenge and this webinar? Um, yeah, let me just briefly summarize what I've been saying earlier, how waste contributes to air pollution, and with the example of Ethiopia. Yeah, burning of open waste, which is a very common practice here, and in urban and rural areas, and yeah, inadequate waste collection and disposal systems just makes it all worse. And despite growing urbanization, Ethiopia's waste management systems, especially in big cities, are still a bit underdeveloped and making it difficult to properly dispose or recycle waste. And as mentioned, it's just been burned. Then also, oh yeah, we all probably know Koshi landfill, which generates methane due to the lack of proper waste management practices, but also contributing to climate change and poor air quality. And as we talked about, it all yeah impacts health, environment, and economy. Solutions and opportunities. So I hope all of you joined us on the first week of this challenge where we talked about composting. There was also a webinar in the first week about composting, and yeah, the benefits of this practice is that composting is a sustainable solution that reduces organic waste in landfills and prevents methane emission. It also produces nutrient-rich compost that can be used for agriculture, improving soil health and supporting local yeah, farming communities. And the opportunity of yeah, using composting organic waste is by promoting Yeah, these activities, for example, especially in community-based composting programs, cities can reduce organic waste and enhance local agriculture practices, which also could then generate green jobs and support circular economy. Yeah, all in all, air pollution is a very serious global problem, affecting health, the environment, and the climate. And yeah, I hope it was a bit understanding of what we talked about, trying to bring this topic closer to your attention. And yeah, how air pollution and waste comes together, especially in countries like ours. And I think now we will learn a bit more about one possible solution, which is motorized transportation. Thank you.
Thanks, Maren, for that presentation and an overview of what air pollution is and why we should care and how it is related to waste generation and waste management. A few things I would like to add. One is particularly Addis Ababa actually has a really good collection system, a waste collection system, house to house, and also from businesses. But again, it's not an advanced system in such a way that where the segregation and recycling, it's coming up, but it's still not there yet. But every day we have waste collectors coming and knocking from door to door and collecting waste. Um, but of course, again, they don't have equipment, the protective materials are still not there. So I also worry about their safety as much as our waste and what kind of problems it also creates for all of us. But again, yeah, vehicles, but we have really mostly hardworking women who collect from house to house. So I would like to recognize them now. Um, and then the other thing is about dust. Of course, dust is also one of the big polluters. And you have mentioned construction. It's true. Of course, construction waste is also mostly dust when in connection with air pollution. But the other issue is also land degradation and deforestation. So you mentioned, arid areas. Those arid areas probably were not so arid always. They probably were, grasslands or forests or wetlands. So when we don't take care of our environment, it's really everything is super connected that we have land degradation also driving air pollution and, big particulate matter dust pollutes our air. So thank you for that. And now I would like to invite Sifan. As I mentioned earlier, Sifan is an avid cyclist, and so am I, and so is Maren. And he also has a medical background. So I want him to tell us about his experience cycling in Addis and also outside of Addis, and what he has observed. So I'm going to ask him a few pointed questions around that. So Sifan, welcome again. Um, and here goes with the first question. So from your medical perspective, how does air pollution impact our respiratory health, particularly for those of us who engage in outdoor activities like cycling? We don't hear you yet, Sifan.
Hello,
Yes, fantastic.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks for having me. It's really good question. It's a very important question to ask on this discussion, especially if more people are now choosing outdoor activities like cycling, fitness, or running because of the corridor planning and every activities around the city. So medically speaking, when we are cycling outside of our house or around our towns, especially to moderate to intense pace, but like pedaling on uphill or normal flat roads, we naturally take deeper breaths from the environment. So, so we actually draw more air into our lungs. So unfortunately, we also inhale more pollutants into our lungs. For example, as Maren said, there are many pollutants in the air. nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and many other chemicals also in the air, including ozone. So these chemicals or these pollutants, these molecules can travel really deep into our lungs. So this particle irritates the airway lining. They may cause inflammations, reduce lung function over time. That means your lung capacity will reduce over time and you no longer can breathe normally. So particularly concerning for people who are already having a condition like Maren said, asthma or other allergy, it could be like a nightmare for them because of the pollutants, they couldn't breathe for a long period of time. So the symptoms may worsen over time. They can also lead to respiratory issues and lead to many other chronic conditions. If the cyclists already have a chronic condition like bronchitis is like an inflammation of the bronchi or respiratory tract, or they already have decreased lung capacity, the replicant can enhance those symptoms and lead to other chronic conditions, what we call it COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's really chronic condition. It also narrows your airways and blocks the airflow to your lungs and outside of your lungs. So technically, you lose your ability to ride long distances. So at the end of the day, you no longer ride. You will have cardiovascular issues. You will have muscular issues. Everything is going to be changed, and you no longer can cycle. Now, forget every day. You can't even cycle on the weekends. So it's really concerning thing to discuss about the air pollutants because they really affect every cyclist in Addis and also especially in Addis. It's very crazy. I was surprised when we had shared the Arakilo statistics. It's really high. I didn't know it was like that. Yeah, it's a really very concerning thing.
Indeed, it's a really big concern and one that we usually don't talk about often. And I also see you when you're cycling, you're wearing your mask, big mask with a filter. Is it because you know that air pollution is a real issue, or because you have felt it in your body already?
Yeah, usually when I cycle, I use masks as you saw me. It's because I already realized there's many air pollutants around the city. Not only because it's inside the city, but there are some construction around every place. The cars smokes is everywhere. So I just make an experiment with myself. I bought some tiny mask. It doesn't have any filters, but the layer is not that much thick, so I can breathe through inside the mask. So over time, I get used to it and just keep exposing myself from the pollutant. So it really matters because when I ride, I really inhale many air pollutants that cause, as I said before, many airway inflammations and chronic conditions. So it is really good thing to wear a mask when you ride.
Yeah. And other than the mask, what other precautions do you recommend for cyclists or runners, people who exercise outside? Other than the mask, what do you recommend as a precaution to avert the risks associated with air pollution?
That's a good question. So there are good news for the cyclists. Uh, because if you ride smartly with a mask or you use let's put like smartly, like avoid rush hours or avoid places like like with a lot of cars, a lot of emissions, like factories or something. So like
Sorry, Sifan,
shifting you
we
right,
lost you for a bit. Can you
just one
repeat
or
from the
two
beginning?
blocks away from the main road.
Sifan, you're breaking up. Can you please repeat from the beginning? Maybe you can turn your video off for a little bit so that we can hear you better. We've lost Stephen, it seems, but we'll wait for him to unfreeze and tell us about what we can do. In the meantime, I also would like to add that, the map that Maren showed us, I think we can also use that every day before we ride or go out for exercise and see, what time is better so that we can make informed decisions about when to exercise outside. Sifan, are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. You're still breaking up.
Hello?
Maybe. Hi, Stephen. You're still breaking up, so maybe you can turn your video off so that we can hear you better.
Okay, let me check my internet connection. Hello?
Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I was saying there are multiple things we can do to avoid the air pollutants. So I will recommend to separate our rides like in a smart way. So like using different roads which have less exposure to vehicle emissions or exposure to construction sites, or avoiding like main roads also could do a very good thing. And also the time also matters. So avoiding rush hours like traffic hours with a lot of pollutions. So doing cycling in early morning or late evening would be more recommended. So it will less pollutants than other hours. So the next one is to consider wearing like high quality face mask if possible. It doesn't have to be a fancy one or a professional one. So it could be anything that can cover your mouth and nose. So usually in medical settings, we use N95. It has a rebreather in each side of parts. So it filters the air when you breathe in, and it's okay. I'm back again. Sorry, guys. So I was saying we can plan our rides according to our shifts or our roadblocks. So we can plan our rides smartly. So we can use less congested streets, like avoiding main roads or using 2 blocks away from the main roads or something like that to, to expose ourselves in less amount of vehicle emission and low exposure of the air pollutants. So the second one might be our time. So we can choose our time in depending on the day. So if there is a weekend, air pollution might be less than other days. But riding in early mornings or late evenings are often have a really good air quality comparing to the other working hours. The third one, maybe using as I said, a high quality face masks. It doesn't have to be a fancy one or a cycling mask. It could be any mask that can cover your mouth or your nose. Uh, in a professional settings, in medical settings, we use N95 to avoid any contamination for the patients. So that could do a lot better for air pollution too. So as I checked on Google, there are some specialized cycling masks with a carbon filter, but these things are not available in our city. We can use anything that have. It's better if it is a polyester or a 100% cotton material because it can trap the air pollutants on the mask. And you have to wash it every single day because I wash my mask every single day. And it surprises you how much dirt, how much thing it protects me during the rides.
Wow.
It's great if you see it, yeah.
Um,
So the other thing is you can check the air quality index as Minha said. There are some apps, applications, and website also to tell you the air pollution of the city, around the city and around your local area. So it depends on the times in the traffic and other conditions. And finally, it's recommended to stay hydrated every 15 minutes or every 20 minutes. If you keep yourself hydrated, you can avoid some pollutants entering to your lungs because of the water will wash out your throat and they no longer enter to your respiratory tracts and makes your body work harder to flush them out if they are on your lungs. So drinking enough water helps to keep your lungs more moist and support your immune system to dislodge everything that's not good for your lungs.
so I just want to clarify one thing. You said the mask should be cotton or should it be polyester? Which is better?
Yeah, if it is 100% cotton, it will be more recommended because
Okay,
with
okay,
like at least 3 layers of cotton layers, because
okay,
it can trap many air pollutants.
okay.
So if it's polyester, there are some tiny holes on
Hmm.
their manufacturing, so you can put it on inside the cotton or outside of other masks. But if it's cotton with 3 layers, like face masks we used to in a COVID time, if there are 3 layers of.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sifan, for that. I also want to ask you, do you have any personal stories to share or observations um, regarding how air quality affects your cycling performance or well-being?
Yeah, I'm back again.
Should I repeat the question?
Yes, please.
So, can you share any story from your personal experience or observation regarding how air quality affects your cycling performance or well-being?
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. So someone who cycles often, like every weekend, sometimes on the midweeks, especially in city settings, I've definitely felt the effect of the air pollutants and the air quality of the city.
Mhm.
It's been better since the colder some bike lanes and the trees are being planted, but there are some still the air quality is still a little bit poor. So I've noticed that my breathing feels heavier and more stained when I bike on rush hours. Even on roads, I know where and usually handle easily on in less pollutant days. On one particular time, I was cycling during dry season, like this season, when the city was blanket with dust and car emissions. I don't know. There was something construction. I don't know. It was around, I think, Mexico. I remember getting home with a sore throat, a bit of cough, and my voice changed a lot. I feel fatigue. My muscle feels awful, like gives me a hard time to recover from that day. So I remember that even when you feeling physically strong, poor air can really take a measure on respiratory system and overall stamina of your strength, your cadence on the bike. I also heard some friends saying the cycling community says the same other cycling community other than Ambassa and Gramangat. Many have developed mild persistence coughs during that particular season that I told you about. Some also have some, I think, sinuses issues, and it was really bad. So since then, I was frequently using my mask, and I really felt the change. And I'm still doing it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is
Mm.
quite stark that, from one
Yeah.
season you start developing a, mild persistent cough. That is really cause for concern.
Mm.
So we should all take care. I have also noticed it myself, and not even, heavy exercise. The heavier the exercise, of course, the worse impact it has. But even just walking, especially when I'm walking out with my small kid, she also starts coughing. If we're
Yeah.
walking out during, 4 or 5,
Mhm.
heavy traffic times. So I really have also felt it. And for, if you're more sensitive, obviously that's also a big impact. So yeah, this is something that we should all really know about and have a concerted effort to resolve. So earlier on, you already started talking about cardiovascular health. But
Mhm.
I also wanted to know, what signs should cyclists watch out for during their rides or after, if you have prolonged exposure to air pollution?
Okay, yeah, that's really good question. So there are some things to get even more concerning than cardiovascular because first you have to inhale the pollutant, then after the pollutant enters your lung, there's a pathway to your lung. So that's how you get the cardiovascular symptoms. So while we usually associating the pollutant with lung issues, it could be long-term exposures or short-term exposures. So direct impact on cardiovascular system is really, really high. So what you inhale will go to your heart and to your body.
Mhm.
So pollutants can enter the bloodstream, causing chronic inflammations, and we call it oxidative stress. So there are free radicals in our air, in our environment. So those free radicals, when they enter our body, they cause inflammations. So those inflammation create other cascade of diseases on a longer run. You could create heart attacks, strokes, maybe high blood pressures. You can clog your arteries, and we call that atherosclerosis, as you know it, which increase the risks of many other conditions relating to cardiovascular systems. So for cyclists, uh, that's a serious issue because you have to ride with intent of improving our health because Graham and Get have and Ambassa also joining the critical mass. We have every weekend rides, midweek rides. So our concern is to improve our health quality, to improve our cardiovascular health and our other health concerning this. But because of their pollutants, we may also have some signs which we be concerned about. So there are some warning signs we have to watch out during the rides and after the rides. So the first and the common one is unusual shortness of breathing. So as you know, if you're going uphill, it is obvious you have a shortness of breathing. But while you are pedaling with a normal speed, with a normal cadence, so you should have a shortness of breathing. That's a very concerning thing. You have to stop and check your energy, drink water, and you might cancel your rides because the shortness of breath may indicate some pollutants enter your lungs and distributed to all of your bodies. The other one is chest tightness or discomfort on your chest. This also indicates that the pollutants are embedded on your lungs or distributed to other parts of your chest cavities and creating some symptoms. The other one might be your heart palpitation or increasing or decreasing, sudden increasing or sudden increasing of your heartbeats, or feeling like unexplained or fatigue or muscle weakness, joint pains, or lightheadedness or feeling dizzy could explain the air pollutants or you breathe in less quality air. So if any of these symptoms occurs, especially repeatedly, it could occur on one time or some other times, but they occur repeatedly. It's very important to get checked with health care providers or healthcare services. So otherwise, you have to check your the air pollutant quality of the air during rides and after you ride, checking your muscle, checking your lung capacity and your heartbeats could do a lot of benefit for your cardiovascular health.
Wow, thank you, Sifan. I'm learning so much. Things that I thought I knew, but yeah, things to watch out for. This is really important information to take, since most of us also, even though we don't cycle, we might, run, walk, go uphill, and depending on our fitness, this really is important information to have. Thank you. So, last question from me. What advancements or technologies do you foresee in the medical field that could help mitigate the health impacts of air pollution on outdoor activities, like cycling and others?
Okay, I think this is really an inspiring and important part of the conversation, because if you're talking about the solution, we can talk of many things regarding health and air pollution. So there are some exciting developments. I have searched one thing. It says there are some applications that could help you to trace or detect the air pollution during and after you ride and before you ride. And the other ones, as I said, using some advanced types of masks which have rebreather, or like I said, with coastal layers. In a broader medical field, researchers, I think they are studying some really interesting things. The effect of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory therapies, because if the air pollutants reach to your bloodstream, they can cause inflammation of the blood vessels, which could lead to atherosclerosis and other cardiovascular issues. So taking antioxidants before or after your ride could help to decrease the impact of the air pollutants which are inside of your body. So it's not like a magic pill, or it's not a cure, but it could help you. Like fruits like which have vitamin C or E, like orange or grapes. Fruits like with omega 3s will protect, have a protective effect. So there are some hopes regarding on medical fields. So cleaner public transportation, electric vehicles, and better green urban planning could also help these kinds of facilities. So let's hope for our bike lanes gonna be wider and longer and low emissions. So slowly becoming more common now, but let's hope for better. So we encourage everyone who is cycling with us to come with some masks and to engage with these kinds of conversations. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and drink some orange juice.
Yeah.
So, Stephen, thank you so much. Also, as I was preparing for this conversation, I came across a company that's doing something also fantastic, fantastic, something I had not expected. Can you see my screen?
Yep. Yeah.
So a bicycle wheel that filters outdoor air pollution. Imagine if, we all
Wow.
start using this,
Yeah.
and as you're cycling
Cool.
around you, you're cleaning the air. And then when it fills up, you take it off and then give it to the company, and they give you a new one. I mean, they clean it out, but so they replace it for you. And they're also even trying to use the pollutants for construction. So it's really, I think there are lots of things that are coming up, and I think we should continue to have these conversations and also, inspire entrepreneurs in Addis, in our region, to also start looking at, businesses that can support better air quality. So I wanted to show this as an inspiration. I'm sure there are many others like this, but this is the one that I came across as I was preparing for this conversation. And then I also want to add something. You've also mentioned EVs. So I don't know if you have seen our post yesterday about tires, how tires actually are also a really big pollutants, air pollutants. I'm going to share the poster that we had shared on all over our social media. So car tires, truck tires, and even bicycle tires. But of course, bicycle tires and car tires don't have the same impact, mainly because of the size of the bike tire and also the weight that goes on it and the braking power. You don't have as much friction with the ground, so much less pollutants come out of the tire. But this is actually has been found to be one of the really worst pollutants for air quality, because I had no idea. I mean, I knew uh, tires are also a source of pollution for water and air, but that 400 chemicals are used in tire production, and also heavy metals and really complex type of synthetic materials that now experts are saying that it should be categorized as a different kind of microplastic, because the same kind of methods to remove microplastics from the environment doesn't work on car tires. So also when we talk about EVs, we need to have this in mind. Yes, we are solving for one of the air pollutants, which is the exhaust pipe, which is a big one. But as we transition to EVs, the tires are also a huge problem. And some studies even show that EV car tires have more pollution than regular ones. Again, there are also some companies trying to produce tires that are less polluting for electric vehicles. And really, I hope to see this really on the market. Um, so the transition to EVs also doesn't solve all of our problems, all of our environmental problems. It also comes with a lot of its own issues, like, the lithium batteries. How do we dispose of it? So it's we cannot talk about it in our non-motorized circles as the solution. I know Ethiopia is also really going forward on that, and it's great since we have a problem with the current model that we have. But we also really need to think about expanding public transport and non-motorized transport, which has much lesser impact generally. And then, trains and things like that, which don't have tires. And even it's not just the tires per se, but it's also the infrastructure, the paint we use that also leaches out into water, and it also leaches out into, it goes airborne into the air. So, the wider our roads, the more paint we use on our roads, it's also more pollution for our air and water. So these are things you don't always think about when you think about air pollution. So this is why we're having this conversation and in conjunction with non-motorized transport. So even non-motorized transport and electrical vehicles also come with their own issues. But obviously, the impact of non-motorized transport on our environment is so much less than cars. It takes less road. It's also much cheaper than maintaining a car vehicle infrastructure, and it takes much less resources generally. There are also many statistics that show, the amount of materials you use to produce a car and to produce bikes is very different. I think you can produce like 100 bikes from one EV type of thing. So in terms of really bang for your buck, non-motorized transport and public transport is really what we also have to focus on. So, and again, I would also like to say, in this zero waste challenge, we're really talking to individuals. It's because we want to get individuals to start to be the catalysts for action and change. Because the real action, the real change also comes from when policy changes and when big businesses also change. So I want us to be the voice for this change, and the more we know, the more aware we are, the more we engage, and the more action we take, we really signal to our policymakers, to our big businesses, that this is what we want. So that's why we have this conversation. So thank you both for this. I really like having to spend my Sunday afternoon with the two of you. We had one question, rather a comment, also from our participant, Samira. I would like to read it out, and really thank you, Samira, for this comment. She says, thank you for organizing this webinar. And she's talking about the waste collection and my comment earlier about Addis having really good waste collection system. She says every door-to-door waste collection might be for a few, every day door-to-door waste collection might be for a few locations, not all of Addis. So for example, in some condominiums, it's twice a week. And as to my observation, there is a huge collection challenge in various locations in Addis. And Samira, absolutely, there are so many gaps. And I myself worked around rivers. And so this river areas, households around this river areas definitely didn't get the service, much less regularly, and sometimes not at all. So yes, our collection system really has gaps, and it's true, households get twice a week, but I was talking more about the waste collectors work every day. They have a schedule for which house to go to. So that this was more about recognizing our hardworking waste collectors, but absolutely there are so many gaps. Other than also gaps including, hazardous waste. We don't have any collection system for hazardous waste, glass, and garden waste. So garden waste like big branches and that kind of thing really doesn't have a system. So obviously our waste collection and waste management system needs to advance and improve. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. So I think if there are no other questions, I see one more thing in the chat. Let me see. I think there's no, I think that was the only question. So thank you both Maren and Sifan. Unless there's anything you want to add, I want to give you the next 1 minute to share.
For 1
Okay,
minute. Okay. You go first.
you go first.
Thank you. Yeah, that was quite interesting. So I'm cycling every day, anytime, and I actually kind of like cycling in traffic jams because it feels like you're so fast, and yeah, the cars are like jealous of you being fast while they're waiting in traffic jams. But I never used a mask, to be honest. But now I really consider yeah, going for using a mask. Hearing these things, I think even if I might not feel it right now that I have issues, maybe in future, right? It just builds up and used. I
Yeah,
think this is how it works probably. So I might start using a mask now. Thank you for that inspirations.
you're welcome. So I'd like to share some samples. So if you don't have any professional cycling mask, so you could use anything that's around your house. Let me share my screen. Are you seeing what I'm saying?
It's coming up, but yeah, okay, we see it.
Yeah. So it's like a scarf. So you can use it around your place when you ride. This one is it looks like a professional mask, but it's just any scarf from your house. You can also use this one. It doesn't have to be any or a fancy one or a professional one. Anything that could cover your mouth or nose will do the job for protecting you from the pollutants.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. So, lastly, I want to say I'm really bad at advertising our organizations and our challenge. So, if you haven't joined our challenge yet, please do join. You can go to www.udet.org and click on register, and then you'll get weekly emails. And then also follow all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, TikTok, and LinkedIn as Zero Waste Africa, except for LinkedIn, we're at UDIT. So follow us and get, such gems of information, and let's build a community. And also, both of you have mentioned Ambessa Bike Ride. Uh, and so I and another colleague of mine started Ambessa Bike Ride, and Maren and Sifan, you're involved, you're co-founders and involved in Igramanget, and we both together, we organize the monthly critical mass. This is such a joyous event. I call it party on wheels. We have
Yeah.
music, kids, and it's a slow ride on a Friday afternoon, evening-ish after work. Every last Friday of the month, we have our critical mass events. So please join us. It's really fun. We want to promote cycling. We want everyone to get out of their cars and join us so that we have less pollution and also more joy in our lives, because the more I ride, the more joy I have. And I think it's true for all of us. This is why we keep riding. So let's continue to do so. Again, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure. And we will put this up on our YouTube channel by tomorrow. And those of you who have missed it, you can watch us there. Bye.